Alright, Toasty, you're off the hook. This one's on me. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another dumb challenge. Today's is one of my own making. As you may know, I kind of have a history with low percent runs. In fact, I may have been the first to ever have done one, based on this video from Toasty, which started it all. Now, since unlike games like Hollow Knight, Calamity has no percentages, so the rules for a low percent run in Calamity were defined as killing the fewest number of bosses to achieve a goal. For Yharon, I found it was 5 bosses. I attempted this run since Yharon was my favorite boss in the Calamity Mod. Keyword, was. I first did this in 1.3. 1.4, however, brought about my new favorite boss, the Exo Mech. In my 2,000 hours of Mod Loader, I have played a lot, meaning a lot of Exo Mechs. They have since become my favorite fight out of anything Terraria related. So of course, it led to an Exo Low Percent run. However, no one has attempted this one, so this time, there's no video to go off of. This time, I had to figure out the routing, available items, everything. And the introduction of 1.4.4 made it way more complicated. Welcome everyone to the craziest run I've ever done. Welcome to the Exo Low Percent. But first, what are the Exo Mechs? The Exo Mechs are a newer boss added to the Calamity Mod in the 1.5 update, dubbed the Showdown update. They are fought at the end of the game, given equal standing as the infamous final fight, Supreme Calamitous. And boy, did they have an air of finality around them. The fight goes as follows. First you pick which one of the 3 you want to fight and fight it down to 70% health, then you have to fight the remaining 2 until you get one of them down to 70% health, then you have to fight all 3 until one of them get down to 40% health, where then it goes in the second phase and you have to fight one until one of you dies, then you have to fight one with the most health left until you get down to 70% health, then you have to fight the 2 remaining ones until you get one down to 40% health and kill it, and then you're left with just one where you have to fight it until death. Yeah, it's a pretty big fight, but it warrants it, being one of the final fights, if not the absolute final fight, of the already massive Calamity Mod. Summoning the Exo Mechs is done with a fully upgraded Codebreaker. The Codebreaker is something that you build and install parts on as you progress through the game, meaning that everything mandatory can be found here. What, you're not excited? This is great! This image has everything mandatory for this run, and since you unlock parts as you progress, the progression itself is all here. In preparation for this run, I spent hours on the Calamity Wiki, looking at items, crafting recipes, anything that could be related to this run. I created a plan and was ready to begin when, yeah, they announced a new Calamity update was inbound. If you can recall from the Yharon Low Percent runs, my plans always got screwed because of mod updates, and this one was shaping up to be a big one. I figured it was best and was going to wait until the update released. Sure enough, sometime later, the Bountiful Harvest update released. I checked the wiki again, and it turns out nothing important regarding this run was changed. So, my plan was actually good to go, meaning I was. Oh, right, yeah, Shadow of the Erdtree is coming out. Now, I don't want to delay this run and risk changing it, but I also don't want spoilers to Shadow of the Erdtree. Well, looks like my first playthrough is going to be a speedrun. Oh, boys, it's go time. Anyone here that's a mod? Alright, hold on. Okay, she's definitely gonna be someone I fight later, right? There's no way. Oh. It looks so good. Oh. What do I do? And how did I dodge all of that? Oh. Die! Fucking curse yourself with some bitches! Is that Radon? Promise Concert Radon. Oh god. That damage! Oh god! Woo! I'm dead. Hello, Tumbleweed. Dude, am I about to fight fucking Shabriri himself? Oh, fuck. Okay, it gets way worse. Damage is kind of damaging. Okay. Yeah! Fuck! Circlet of Light. Is that it? Is that how it ends? Slightly boost. It gives me 1! It gives me 1! I got that for 3 free levels, man. Now that that is taken care of, I was finally ready. I made a little teaser on my community page to build some hype, and it was now time for this nightmare to begin. June 30th, Day 1. Like the last 2 low percent videos, I started with a mod showcase. I had the usual quality of life stuff like Fargo's Mutant and or Excavator, but I also had a new one. What mod is this from? This mod, from the Hell playthrough, says where an item or recipe came from, which was perfect for my rule set. If you want the rules in detail, refer to the True Yharon low percent run, as I explain my rules in like 10 minutes, but basically I'm limited to anything I can obtain in just Vanilla or Calamity within the bounds of this run, regardless of if it's through quality of life means or not. This mod will tell me where something came from, along with its crafting recipe, so I know if it's allowed. Quality of life mods that let me speed up things like farming are okay, because I have the last word of that. A life. This is all I'll touch on these this time, but just remember that this isn't my job. I do this outside of my job, so I'm not going to be pure about this as I have a life outside of this. So when I do this, I want to keep things at a decent pace. Thankfully, most people understand why I use these, along with why several other YouTubers use them. With the mods out of the way, it was time to make a character. In my Shadow of the Erdtree playthrough, I had made a character of legend. One up there with King Arthur, Hercules, and Soldier of Godric. I, of course, am talking about the mythical Concrete Eater. Concrete Eater gained some popularity in my community, so for this run, I figured I should pull from FromSoft and retcon a secret sibling. Meet Concrete Eater's canonical twin, Metal Muncher. To keep from losing my mind, I named the world after a positive affirmation. It was made, and the run was officially underway. While I chopped wood in the background, what was my plan? Unlike the Yharon runs, I had a pretty thorough plan this time. Step 1 was to explore the world. This let me get items and accessories, but there was a deeper meaning than that. As you hopefully know, Terraria worlds have specific generation rules. The most well-known is the dungeon generates on the opposite side of the world than the jungle, or the snow biome generates on the same side as the dungeon. Calamity follows these rules with its own biomes, with the Brimstone Crag, Sulphur Sea, and Abyss generating on the dungeon side, specifically behind it. The Sunken Sea generates under the desert, which is on the same side of the jungle, and so on. By finding either the desert or snow biome immediately tells me where I can find the Sulphur Sea, which will be a large part of early game prep. Step 2 is to get to the Sulphur Sea and get 2 Thrashers to spawn. Thrashers are enemies that spawn semi-rarely in the Sulphur Sea biome. Killing one spawns the Angler. However, having another Thrasher kill the Angler drops the Golden Fishing Rod. This is important, which brings us to Step 3, Fish. Calamity adds a lot of the fishing goodies, such as stuffed fish, gemfish, fish of light and night for getting souls, organized quests, and a lot of weapons. I started Step 1 by going right when I remembered something. Oh right, yeah, I forgot I was going to do this. That's not permanent because of a certain Devourer of Gods, if I even get that far with this, but I thought for being extra funny at the start, here we go. As a way to up the challenge, I was going to see how far I could get in Revengeance mode. This wasn't set in stone, so I could always just go back to Expert whenever I wanted, but I wanted to see what happened. Like before, I explored and got a base set up for nighttime. I went over the plan for the stream, which was a lot of prep work, and if I was lucky, kill the wall of flesh. Yeah, I wasn't holding back this time. I also was going to have the hard mode rework on, meaning in order to get hard mode ores, I would need to fish for them. Hence, the fishing. The next day, the merchant showed up, letting me get rope. Said rope let me go up to the planetoids and the corresponding lab. Remember the codebreaker parts? To actually get those, you need to decrypt a schematic for them. There are 5 schematics, each corresponding to a different lab. One of which were right above me in the planetoids. Now there is a very small, but possible chance one of these just didn't generate, which would make the schematic completely unobtainable. The solution is, let's not think about that right now. In the lab, I got money, plants, the schematic, power cell factories, and charging stations, all of which were needed. I also got real money when B gifted some memberships, one of which went to Yharon. Yeah, the main antagonist of Calamity is canonically a member of my channel. You should add that to the wiki too. Following this, there's some underground time where I got some shoe spikes. Because I didn't get Hermes boots, my speed was pretty lacking. But while lacking movement, I make up for in my brain. My problem was my Crimson biome was a pretty substantial wall, given my lack of anything. So I used some rope and platforms to just go around it. However, I also apparently was lacking spatial awareness. Oh, god damn it. This was worth it, since finding the snow biome told me I was on the right track to the Sulphur Sea. However, there is another Crimson to deal with. Eventually, I bridged over and made it to the Sulphur Sea. I did a dungeon run and got a water candle to help boost spawn rates. I chopped some sulphur trees and made some platforms to stand on where thrashers couldn't reach me. One was there, but a second showed up, all according to plan and luck. Turns out, however, the thrasher doesn't deal enough damage in one hit to kill the angler. So I had to improvise some angler murder. Uh-oh. Yeah, we got it. Conveniently, it was also raining, so I could catch some worms outside for bait. I spent some time making something that was mandatory for this run. Baby flat crab tank. It was now fish time. Fish time resulted in some better bait and accessories, including some sailfish boots. This led to some underground time with 2 objectives. Find life crystals, and the sunken sea below the desert, since there's a lab here, which I have had not generate before. I detoured into the desert for desert fossil. This could be used on an extractor to get diamonds, which would let me make a magic storage system. Desert fossil was the way to go since it spawns in really large chunks and is plentiful in the desert. Sure enough, bam, magic storage. My next project was to get one of the strongest mounts in the game, the Onyx Excavator. To find it, I'll be using a seeking mechanism, which points me in the direction of the lab. All of the labs have these, making finding them not a pain in the ass. Using a charging station and power cell factories from the space lab, I could charge it up, and some mining later, there it was. Unlike the other labs, this one does not have a schematic, so you technically don't need to come here for the Exos. But why would you ever want to avoid it? It's literally the best thing ever. With the money from this one, I bought some pylons, one for the Sulphur Sea, and one for the ocean. It is here where I started on the largest part of this run. If anything, the most important part of this run. One that I had never had, and would revolutionize how low percent runs go. The Shimmer. The Aether is a mini biome added in the Labor of Love update, consisting of liquid shimmer surrounded by an ellipsoid of stone. Throwing items into the shimmer can either uncraft or transmutate them, letting you obtain things you normally can't. As you can probably figure out, this completely revolutionizes how low percent runs go. To save from more rambling, I'll cover shimmer uses as they come. First, I had to find it. It generates somewhere on the jungle side below the ocean, or at least in the area. To find it, I was going to be using the Onyx Excavator, and zigzag my way around until I found it. I used some bombs to make a little elevator, and after getting almost 18,000 stone blocks, found the shimmer. With this found, it was back to fish time. However, I needed bait, so it's actually bug time. Once bug time concluded, I did some more quests and went to the ocean. Last time, I learned that the Reaver Shark was unnerfed by Calamity, making it, once again, as strong as the Molten Pickaxe. I could now break anything I needed in pre-Hardmode. I finished my main elevator, and got some Hellstone, which of course led to Molten Armor. I fished in the Sulphur Sea and got an Abyssal Amulet. When equipped, this lets all of my attacks inflict Riptide, a debuff that drains 15 health a second. Since I did not get lucky with a Goblin Invasion, there was going to be no wall this stream. So, this was the end of the stream. July 1st, Day 2. 1 day since starting this run, and about 2 months since I last worked on this video. Hey, physics grad school is very busy and tiring, alright? My goal for this stream was simple: kill the wall. I started by getting some weapons. I had a Flamerang and was going for a Bladecrest Oath Sword. This is a sword dropped by demons, and in a chest in the Brimstone Crag that I always forget about, that fires homing projectiles. This sword has had its damage reduced, but with the Riptide debuff, it's still pretty strong. Once I got this, I made an AFK farm for the goblins. After dozens of playthroughs, I finally decided to make it look nice with some stone slabs. While I was busy doing this, I had an old 8th of a face message me. God damn it. Alright, who's ready for I Cthulhu? However, my chat let me in on an insane strat. Become a mole. Turns out the Eye of Cthulhu doesn't spawn underground. Once morning broke, I grabbed my water candle from the dungeon run and farmed goblins for a goblin battle standard. I got enough and it was goblin time. Goblin time lasted 2 minutes. I spent the next hour finding the goblin and got some lightning boots. These would help me outpace the Wall of Flesh, since in Revengeance mode, the Wall of Flesh will charge at you. Thanks to the shimmer mining, I had more than enough stone to make a platform and minecart builder. I used this to make a minecart at the very top of Hell. This provided a solid ceiling that kept me from accidentally leaving Hell while fighting the Wall of Flesh, and getting pulled in and dying. I also found the Unstable Granite Core, an accessory that shoots lightning out that chains between enemies, which again, is strong thanks to the Abyssal Amulet. This combo would be great against the hungry. I fished for some stuffed fish, for some plants for potions, and it was finally wall time. Give it a go. Alright. Not amazing, but same time not too bad. Maybe we just gotta clear out the hungries. I really should have made that fucking, like, summon thing. Actually, it's not bad. Not that bad, really. I wish it was going for the fucking eyes instead of the boring-ass mouth, but... I don't remember how fucking Revengeance goes. Fuck it, let's... Okay, well, it's already done, so never mind. I was hoping to, like, capitalize on eye damage, but never mind. Close. Oh, it's shifting a bit. That's fine. The eyes are so... When the eyes are firing at the same time, that's like... That's very manageable. Go again. Actually, like, I can't upgrade my fucking Rage and Adrenaline. Bro, you are... Oh wait, no, I'm underground. He doesn't spawn, right? Yeah. Right. Oh, they curve. Get him! I wish I gotten, like, the Cinder Blossom for just, like, a sentry summon to always be, like, on top to help them with the hungries. This is a lot of these go into the hungries. Oh, I hate when they overlap. It's fine, though. We're fine. We're fine. All good. All good. Alright, we're good, we're good. Yes! I'm gonna get a heart out of it, let's go. Although, I don't think I really need one. Nice. Let's go. Ah! The last one curved up. It's fine. Yeah, I got healing potions. Oh. Alright. I somehow managed to avoid everything that happened there. Alright, now we start picking up the pace. Come on. Yes. Be safe. Let's fucking go. Well, that was easy, but wait, something's off. I was in Revengeance. Wall of Flesh has an attack where it'll charge at you, but for some reason, it didn't. Anyways, Wall of Flesh down. Our first objective in hard mode was to get the, say it with me now, you should know the name, the Ancient Masters map with Lost King's Great Ancestors. For those who don't know, this item reveals the entire map, which is normally good so you can see things like ores and stuff, but here it was pretty mandatory, since if one of the labs didn't generate, then a schematic would be completely unobtainable. In other words, I'm screwed. I also explained to chat the crafting rule I said earlier, with what mod is this from. It's an alchemist. Alright, so here's the case, which I'm glad I can show this. This is a case of, normally I wouldn't be able to get this because I need the Dryad, but there's a recipe by Alchemist NPC. Since I can't get it, because I can't get the Dryad, I can't do this. So the Axe of Purity is not possible. Not long into hard mode, I got a marrow bow from a skeleton merchant. I needed black lenses for the map, so I would need to farm squids for ink. So naturally, I searched for the ice lab. No, bear with me, this one actually makes sense, since the ice lab has Arctic diving gear in it. Now I need to get some ores. So, time to get the only way I can. Fishing. Once I fish enough, I got a full set of titanium armor. The best armor I can get until I fight something post-golem. I also got my love, my pride and joy, my titanium railgun. Since I was going ranged, I needed a ranger emblem, so I chose to fight the Wall of Flesh. Apparently, I was a complete dumbass and didn't think to shimmer the warrior emblem into a ranger emblem despite it being possible. Yeah, I'm dumb. But it paid off with a loot magnet. It's also in these fights where we could see the Wall of Flesh do his charge attack. Unlike that first fight. I went back into the snow biome to farm flinxes. This is because flinx fur lets you make some earmuffs, which prevent Anahita, aka the thing that sings, from showing up and ruining my squid farm. As it turns out, squids don't like showing up. I made the battle cry from Fargo's mutant mod to boost spawn rates by a lot. An item which is really helpful, as we will see later. A matter of seconds after getting it, I had the ink. And then the black lenses, and then the Ancient Masters map with Lost King, blah 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 blah. I used it, and thankfully, every lab had generated correctly. Of course, before I ended stream, a Howled Mimic showed up, which of course gave me a crystal- oh, wait, it's a flying knife. Oh, cool. With the Wall of Flesh dead, and me a sleepy boy, that was all for today. Day 3. I should call today a vacuum, because it was gonna suck hard. If you remember from my 2 Yharon low percents, or should go rewatch if you don't, that after Wall of Flesh comes either Lunatic Cultist by farming Eidolian tablets from the Abyss, or hoik into the temple and farm boulders to get temple bricks for a death whistle for Ravager. Either way, I'd have to farm for stuff. Stream started, and I got right to it and went to the Abyss. Because Eyeless could go suck a big sweaty lemon, I put a pylon down in the lair that they spawn in for easy access. This of course meant one thing: let the Eyeless farm begin. After what felt like an eternity playthrough, but was actually 20 minutes, there's my Eidolian tablet. Woo! Let's fucking go! No shitty grinds today, boys! With this done, I took some time to try and get an Eng Shield. With the crafting recipes from Calamity and Shimmer transmutations, I could actually obtain one after a bit of farming. During this time, I also gathered quite a few traps. Traps that can be shimmered into wire. This is how you can get wire that's required for the codebreaker without the mechanic. Did it take a while? Yes. Should I have done this on a no traps world? Absolutely. But what's done is done. Back to the Eng Shield, I needed an alchemy table, which is only found in the dungeon, which for me is currently infested with unlimited dungeon guardians. However, I had come up with a genius plan to get past them. Die. I checked the map and sneaked around the dungeon until I was above one. And after dying repeatedly, I managed to break it before I died, and then use it to make an Eng Shield. With this, it was time for an easy boss. Lunatic Cultist. Oh, he fast. He did not waste time. Alright, that freezing's gonna be an issue. Is it just like warmth potions for that? Oh, he did not go clones. Alright, so it's slower but also tracks you. Alright, so what the fuck? I killed it! I hit the right one! Alright, so what the hell is this thing? This is an ancient vision. Never seen it before? That's because they only spawn when you fail Cultist Illusion Phase twice and still have the Phantasmal Dragon alive. Most people never do that, so most people never see it. So why was it here given I hit the right cultist? Remember back at the 2-minute 59-second mark when I talked about the new update to Calamity? Turns out, it had quite the overhaul on not the items, but the boss AI. Hence why I didn't notice it when I was checking prior to this run. One such change is this little thing popping out if the cultist isn't hit in time. I don't know how much time, but it's pretty quick. I summed it up pretty well. This is gonna suck! And I was right. It was gonna suck. I tried making a minecart arena to outpace him in his summons, but it still required some luck on the attacks. I got some better buffs, still didn't help. I changed gears and hoiked into the temple and killed some boulders for some temple bricks. With the fragments from the chests, I could make a death whistle, and death whistle meant... Alright, that damage kind of sucks, not gonna lie. See, the issue with Ravager is... I've learned his, like, second phase. It's his first phase with all of this that I cannot handle. Yeah, this is a fucking dead run already. Yes, he does, yep. Yeah, Ravager is pretty tough. Not having a dash makes his body slams very hard to dodge. Then with the turrets he spawns, it's pretty hard when you've killed, well, nothing basically. So it was time to get creative. By being on a platform really high up, it was hard for him to reach me. This actually showed some promise as a strategy, apart from him despawning. Moving the platforms a little closer made Phase 1 a breeze. But Phase 2 is where it got a lot harder because I didn't have a dash, so his drops very quickly killed me. I got an accessory probably no one in history would ever consider for late hard mode fights, the Magiluminescence, which boosts your base movement speed. It didn't help. After Ravager felt like falling out of the arena, I came to the decision that since Wall of Flesh didn't really act like his Revengeance self, I figured the Revengeance portion of this challenge may be over now. So, I went back to Expert Mode. But it was here I was to stay. Turns out the Ancient Vision is still a part of the Expert Mode fight. So I just had to jump rope over it no matter what. The slight change makes a low percent fight like this much harder, including having to miss the illusion attack and dying. Pissed off, this is where I ended for the day. July 5th, Boss Day. Today's goal was to kill Cultist and Ravager. So, same goal as yesterday. Armed with the knowledge of how Cultist fights now, my strategy was to hit him until he died. So that's what I did. Nice. Yep. See, I know why they added him in. Because you could literally do this fight no hit, easy peasy, with low percent shit. Yeah, you deal great damage because you miss like 80% of the shots. No, 80's too generous. I stopped to listen. I want to make sure it was... Oh, that's the clones. What? What? I hit him! What? I hate that attack. Nope. Oh! After like a 10-minute fight, Cultist was down, marking my second boss of the run. Again. And you know what that means. And by fish, I of course mean lunar events! I was here for the phantasm. That's about it. After that absolute joy of a time was done, I farmed some unicorns for horns for holy arrows. And now it was time to rematch against Ravager. Oh, let's fucking go. Ravager down, so 3 bosses dead, not even an hour in. With the fleshy geode rewards, I could make some things, mainly a seismic handpick for scoria mining in the abyss. I needed 7 bars, and I didn't have enough, so it was time for Ravager again. I did not have enough scoria still, however, I had more than 5 cryonic bars. So, I could now make the ornate shield. Ladies and gentlemen, a dash item. So, one more Ravager later, Abyss time. And one more Abyss time later, Hydrothermic armor. This let me finish up the lunar event where I got my daybreak ready. What for? For something that I have never been able to do in a low percent run yet. So, to craft the last part of the codebreaker, I needed a Cosmic Anvil, which needs Cosmolite bars. The only source of Cosmolite bars in the entirety of the game is dropped from the Devourer of Gods. The Devourer is only fightable with the Cosmic Worm. The Cosmic Worm can be made 2 different ways. Post Providence from the Sentinel fights, or make your own from Necroplasm and Luminite. Meaning, in order to do this run, I have to kill Moonlord for the first time in 3 low percent runs. My strategy for Moonlord is pretty simple. Riding a unicorn mount keeps you ahead of his attacks, and throwing the Daybreak provides good damage to his eyes, making the only attack that I need to watch out for his forehead laser, which is pretty easily telegraphed by 2 shots from above. Ironically, this was probably the easiest fight in the entire run, and it has the added bonus of spawning Draconic Swarmers in the jungle, so I don't need to kill Dragon Folly for feathers for Yharon's egg. Thank God. What may be the biggest part of this run was the easiest, and Moonlord was dead in 1 try, marking 4 bosses dead. As I played with broken credits, I mined a shit ton of Luminite and Exodium clusters. I made some solar armor with a nice ram dash for an armor bonus. That was better than the ornate shield. It was also here where tragedy struck. Now drink. Seagram's Escapes Jamaican Me Happy. Natural lemon, strawberry, watermelon, and guava flavor. I ran out of alcohol. I looked at the recipe browser just to remind myself how little I actually had access to, and also how to craft the Cosmic Worm. Like I said, to get it, I could kill Providence or get Necroplasm. Since I obviously can't kill the big butterfly, I had to farm Necroplasm. And here is where it turns out I could actually go in the dungeon. This is because the phantasmal spirits that drop Necroplasm spawn there after you kill Moonlord. So I'll have to kill Wait. What is that? What? Oh no. Oh no. No, son of a fuck! This is an enemy known as an overloaded soldier. Never seen it before? That's because their spawn conditions are so stupid, you've probably never encountered one. This is a hard mode enemy that spawns in the underground lair. Now, because that might not sound so bad, I don't mean underground in general, I mean the underground lair. The Terraria world has 3 main lairs: surface, of which I'm including space here because obviously space isn't underground, underground, and caverns. The underground, seen as the lair with a blend of stone and dirt, is probably the lair of the game you spend the least amount of time on by this point. You only really go here to go from the surface or caverns, or vice versa. And chances are, you just use a pylon at this point. This is the only section of the game these enemies spawn in. Additionally, they get buffed after Moonlord dies to drop Necroplasm. So now this is the only way for me to obtain Necroplasm without killing another boss. So no dungeon items, and the only way to get wires is to shimmer traps. If I didn't know any better, I would think that they were given this change as a way to mess with low percent runners to obtain necessary items. One of many such changes brought about after a certain low percent video blew up in popularity. So naturally, I made some weapons of mass lag inducing to clear out space for an AFK farm, which I made. Even with the Battlecry spawn rate booster, I was still having a hard time getting one to appear. So I made the Battle Scroll from Louis AFK, which boosts spawn rates a lot, due to battle potions and water candles, which I crafted. I didn't get them from the dungeon. And one involuntary cut later, because the stream temporarily died, finally I had one appear. Even with this, they still rarely spawned. So time for another long enemy grind. But while this was running, I put on my first low percent. It's kind of weird seeing what I'm doing now compared to what I did back then. Half an hour later, I had enough for the Cosmic Worm, meaning it was dog time. Oh, I should probably change it back to right, it doesn't stop. There. We dealt 1% about insane damage. There goes option? No, not at all. This is literally just for shits and giggles of how bad will it be. Ow. The damage is bad. I'm missing like 3 more health upgrades I could get. Yeah, not. Granted, this is like the easy part of the fight. Bro, we ain't even 10% done yet. Looks like it's not the worst weapon, all things considered. Don't. Ow, you mother. A preliminary damage test made me do 7.3% of his health over 4 minutes. So at this rate, the Devourer fight would take a little under 56 minutes. This obviously was not going to do. So how do I prep for the Devourer of Gods with low percent availabilities? I don't know. Without a good idea of what to do, it was time to just do some trial and error. With a lot of error. One weapon I could obtain was an Elemental Blaster. It wasn't really any better. Tried some other weapons, like the SDMG and Lunar Kunai, and surprisingly, Lunar Kunai were actually pretty promising damage-wise. I got some rogue equipment and gave it another go. This time, 4 minutes brought him down 16.5% of his health. This now would take 24 minutes. Still annoying given how nothing this fight is early on, but doable at least. It would be a lot better if landing stealth strikes on his head was actually easy, but instead they loved going and hitting like 3 of the body segments to have like 90% damage reduction. I gave it another go, trying to make my stealth strikes better, and they do like 1% of his health per hit. I was able to get him down to 63% before getting hit from lasers drifting in from off-screen and dying. I made a lot of progress, and this is where the day ended. Who's ready to get potentially controversial? I am! The Devourer of Gods is the worst boss in Calamity. Yep, yeah, oh yeah, I'm going there. Oh, I'm so going there. He's a tanky, slow, tedious fight. If you don't think so, fight him without the music, because all I've ever heard when people compliment the fight is that it has good music. Good music does not make a good fight. I love when he keeps his head and tail out of the way with his body that has 92.5% damage reduction blocking them the entire time during his passive phase. Wait, why does a boss at this stage of the game have a passive phase? Eye of Cthulhu has that when he's just floating after his charges. At the start of the game! If you haven't figured out by now, I hate the Devourer of Gods, but regardless, I have to fight him. So, what was the plan for Dog? That's a good question. One that I genuinely had no answer for. I started by shimmering some cobalt into aerolite ore. This allowed me to make anything that required it without killing the perforators, such as the feather crown to make the moonlight crown for my rogue build. I was still set on the stealth strike build given the lunar kunai effectiveness, as long as I hit the actual weak parts and not the body. One weapon I tried was the utensil poker, which was dropped from Moonlord and was about the same damage-wise, but also easier to hit with the stealth strike. Fun Calamity fact, holding down will let you fall faster, and holding down grabs onto rope. I'm on the fucking rope, dude! It's awesome! I changed gears to try to get the drops from the Eidolian worm, but my air and mere existence proved too much, so a squid killed me. I spent some time in the jungle to kill a few draconic swarmers to get feathers for the Yharon egg, just so I didn't have to bother with Dog. A few more attempts later, I got him down to 47.8% before dying due to the lasers from off-screen and the grid. Sure doesn't really use his mouth for being called the Devourer of Gods now, does he? It's like if the Radiance from Hollow Knight was just a light bulb that was constantly off despite being called the Radiance. It was time to get serious and try something. Something that looks at the morals of a low percent run. I wanted to get the Onyx Chain Blaster, which required a minigun from Sandtank from the Frost Moon. Now, low percent runs go off the number of bosses. I found for Yharon, normally, that the number is 5. While someone did the Super Omega low percent in Infernum, which can be 4, because the Idolists can spawn at the start of the game. Now, does Sandtank count as a boss? What even counts as a boss? You could say something that drops a treasure bag is a boss, but then the Lunatic Cultist wouldn't be one because he doesn't drop a treasure bag. What about something with a health bar? Well, then the Goblin Sorceress would be one, but I don't really think anyone counts the Goblin Sorceress as an actual boss. My point is what counts as a boss and what doesn't for the sake of a low percent run. I bring this up because Sandtank is a fight with varied attacks, has some pretty significant loot, and a health bar, but he only spawns during an event. The boss checklist mod has him listed as a mini-boss, since he's just part of the greater Frost Moon event. Looking deeper, according to the Terraria wiki, the official one, he is categorized as an event boss. If you think this makes him count, well then so would the pillars from the lunar event. And come on, nobody is going to count those as bosses. So the way I see it, he's not a boss and doesn't go against the spirit of a low percent run. However, if you think otherwise, you are free to go ahead and do this run your own way. So I shimmered Ectoplasm from Rather Drops to get a Frost Moon summon, and did the Frost Moon. I made the Onyx Chain Gun and scrapped the Ranger build together. And if you're worried about the Sandtank going against the spirit of a low percent run, don't worry. It wasn't really much better. This got him down to 51.9% health, and then I died. Right now, the biggest problem was the lack of mobility being able to maneuver around him. In my need to get literally anything, I found that I could shimmer cacti into pumpkins, meaning I could do a pumpkin moon. And if you're curious, Calamity changes the recipes so I don't need to get Souls of Fright. I had nothing I wanted here, just wanted to get more things, anything that could potentially help. More attempts led to even more failure. So I went to the Crimson and made a big clearing, which of course naturally led to Yharon. I did well until I died, getting him down to 70% health before dying. A few attempts later, I did the same thing. Here my little dash was showing its early hard mode distance, so my best bet was just fight dog. After many more failed attempts, the impossible actually happened. For fun, I read his lore item, how he was capable of swallowing God's whole, with no mention of how he just floats around spamming lasers, probably killed the gods by making them die of boredom watching and waiting for him to attack. He was also an egotist, which makes perfect sense, why his talk is better than his fight, and was armored by Draydon! Oh, you're so dead. I now had the enhanced moons and eclipse. So, time to make Ascended Spirits. Time to farm more Necroplasm, yay! I love farming these! It's so much fun to do it all again, but take longer. After the most fun part of the game ever, I made the Godslayer armor. This would be my final armor for this run, much better than the Hydrothermic I had to deal with for the past 2 runs. This armor had the bonus of the Godslayer dash. This was a really big dash with big immunity and big distance, but only worked once every 90 seconds, so it was more of an emergency thing, but still really good to have. I went ranged and I had the Death Wind drop from Dog, so now I had to do a little DPS test, and who better to test it on than Devourer of Gods himself. Opa! Oh, there we go. See, look how fucking... That and that are what you can hit and deal meaningful damage. Didn't really do what I hoped it would, but it was very good for like relocating. Oh, gonna go hide in the rock? You dumbass. This fight gave me the Norfleet, a slow-firing, hard-hitting ranged weapon. It could be really good given the right situation. And hopefully, that situation was Yharon. But I couldn't be bothered to do that right now, so this is where the stream ended. Ding dong, the dog is dead. July 8th, Day 6. With Dog dead, the end was now in sight. I could see a light at the end of the tunnel. And that light was one I know all too well. Yep, time for Yharon. Again. Yharon is crucial for the Exo Low percent since I need Auric Bars for the Quantum Cooling Cell, the last part of the Codebreaker, and the one that lets me message Draydon and fight the Exos. I started with looking up some accessories that could help my pretty bad build. Making everything menacing gave me a 28% increase to my damage, which is quite a big damage increase. My Deathwind and Norfleet were both good choices for Yharon, so naturally, I started putting Codebreaker together, as I hadn't actually made any of the components. My chat informed me that I should reforge things to Lucky instead. This boosts your crit chance. This would be less raw damage, but with double damage crits, the DPS should be much better. Probably, I don't know. I acquired a metric shit ton of power cells, started decrypting the next schematic, and grabbed the egg. Meaning, it was time for how this funny man goes. Oh, he is so dead, buddy. Great, yep. Yep, I died to the lingering fireballs at 29% health left. So naturally, I died the exact same way next time, but this time with 22% left. Third time was indeed the charm. In that I didn't die to the fireballs, but Yharon turning immediately after a charge. The fourth attempt was different. I was focused and ready to kill, and Eye Cthulhu was gonna spawn. A tactical suicide and eyeball run later, I was back. I swapped the Blood Pact accessory, which gave me more max health, for the Nebulous Core, which gave me less max health, but now I had a 90-second kill survive mechanic. I did not survive. I blamed it on the rain, because chat told me to, and summoned him again. After this death, chat informed me of Silva wings, the only post-dog wings, as Godslayer wings don't exist. I could make these, so I did. This attempt, the slime rain felt like starting, meaning yes, I could accidentally kill King Slime now. And that is totally the reason why I died. Yep, a tactical death, for sure, that was the only reason why I died. I used the Abomination NPC from Fargos to cancel the event because I could not be bothered to wait it out. I got him down to 18.8% before dying this time. Here, we can see how fast Yharon gets, making my early hard mode level dash, and stuff in general, not really hold up anymore. I gave in, made some safety walls to block the pillars, and went again. I got him down to 29% this time. The fireballs he spawned were very hard for me to avoid with my bad dash and pretty poor movement acceleration. It was at this point I started to get a little angry. What the hell do I do about that? That's so cool! The next attempt, I finally remembered I had the Godslayer dash armor bonus. So I started using it. I also died by avoiding Yharon and flying up into a Fire Nado. And yes, I was trying to stop by holding down. Yes, I know that's the thing. I was trying to do that. I could not slow down in time. And after an almost embarrassing number of deaths to the one guy that started any low percent things ever in Calamity, I finally did it. Oh, get f***! Fortunately, I didn't get the weapon I was hoping for, that being the Burning Sky. That was to worry about later though. Now, it was time to get to work on the last things I needed. I now had the time to read chat messages. And apparently I missed one where one of my viewers who was on vacation got shot and robbed. Thankfully, it wasn't fatal, it's just his leg, so he's okay. I have confirmation he is okay. Anyways, I went to the jungle lab to get the last schematic. Chances are, you've already noticed a problem. To mine Auric, like I need for the Quantum Cooling Cell, I need Ulabloom, which spawns post-Providence. Now I haven't fought Providence, so I have no Ulabloom. I also need Ulabloom to make the voltage regulation system. This is where the last bit of shimmer magic comes in, as Auric can be shimmered back down to Ulabloom. So I can get it without fighting Providence. But I still need to get Auric. So how do I get Auric before getting Auric? What, you haven't figured it out already? How else do you think, you frothing hooligans? How else would I have done anything this run? Fishing! It's always fishing! I'm so tired of fishing! I fished some titanium crates, which now drop some Auric ore. I shimmered it, and thankfully had enough for the Blossom Pickaxe. This let me mine all of the Auric I could ever need. So now, with the endothermic energies from the Frost Moon, I had everything I needed to finish the Codebreaker. Y'all ready for the best sound effect in the game? And with all of that, it was finally Exo time. I started with Ares, as his forearms can be quite a bit to juggle. Once he hit 70%, he jumped out and the other two jumped in. Artemis and Apollo, the two on the left and right side, were actually pretty tough. The fireballs from the Wrath Wing, the weapon I got from Yharon, made the projectiles get lost until I found them hitting me. I survived and made it to phase 3, where all three were attacking. Here can be really hard with attacks lining up from a couple of them in a very unfortunate way. Such as the big laser from Ares, making me have to turn around and run into a projectile that I was moving away from. My damage was pretty good given the available gear, but my problem was my health. Having only 660 health, which is like 2/3 what I should have, was a bit of a problem. Oh well. I went to try again, but I had a bad feeling about the night, and I was right! Thankfully, Draydon's patient, so I could just wait for I to spawn, and then despawn, before attempting. I started this one with Thanatos, the big worm. It didn't go so well. I broke the Norfleet out, and tried A&A again. This took like 1% of their health with each shot, with my rogue build still. Anyways, Ares killed me. The next attempt wasn't really an attempt, as I was trying different things to damage Thanatos. The only thing that got hurt was me. I broke out some more of those sand tank drops and made myself a Kingsbane. This gun is pretty cool. With piercing Luminite bullets, it does great damage against Thanatos. When I can. If you don't know how he works, Thanatos is heavily armored, having 99.99% damage reduction on all segments. However, this isn't another dog situation, as when he attacks, he needs to vent heat to keep himself from overheating, so he opens up his segments to do so. During this time, any open segment will drop down to 0% damage reduction. Not only is this a really cool worm boss concept, but has separate audio so you can hear when the segments are vulnerable. The Kingsbane also is really effective with hitting multiple of Ares' weapons. But again, I died at phase 3. Went back to the Norfleet and attempted again. And again, I died at phase 3. I needed to experiment around, but unfortunately anything I could experiment with was behind a boss I didn't want to fight again. I could make the Dynamic Pursuer, but unfortunately I had to fight the Devourer Gods again. He wasn't hard, but I just didn't want to. Well, it wasn't hard apart from the lasers that kept going well after their attack! Thankfully, the Kingsbane's knockback could help propel me away from them. A few dogs down, no weapon. So I fought Yharon to get a Burning Sky. Hey! We got it! I finally got one. Burning Sky is a melee weapon that summons a bunch of falling fireballs over the cursor. So I scrapped the melee build together and fought Ares again. Fireballs hitting multiple weapons very rapidly made it so I took out like 1% of his health per second. Obviously, very good DPS. And yes, it worked just as well on AA. It was going great until Thanatos used his mouth more than Devourer ever could, and bit me so I was close to death. Like, really close. I swapped my accessories and went again. Again, died at phase 3. I started with Alcoholic and Anonymous. Again, died at phase 3. I think you can see the pattern now. All my attempts get to phase 3 and then end. Makes sense, since all of them are attacking you at once. I try as well as I can, but I still get hit a couple of times. But with my health, that's all it takes to die. This phase ends when one of them reaches 40% health remaining, so I need to do a lot of damage and survive for a while. I go for Ares to get him down to 40%, which I did, but then there's another problem. The Blender Beam. Here he shoots a bunch of lasers from his chest and spins them all around. All while firing his weapons. The Blender Beam speeds up too, so the best place for avoiding the weapons may not be the best place for avoiding the blender. Next attempt, I got back to Ares phase 4, but died, because like Yharon, his weapons speed up fire rate. I'm pretty sure anyways, I didn't even bother looking that up, watching all this makes me think that's how it goes. And then it was back to the phase 3 limit. Attempt, after attempt, after attempt. I was always getting that far, but no farther. Phase 3 was basically always when I died. In normal cases, this would be just the time where you just invoke the ancient phrase and get good. That I had the ability to win, I just needed to focus and do it. But could I even get good? With all of the projectiles during phase 3 from all 4 Exo Mechs, yes, I'm counting Artemis and Apollo as separate, shut up, weak health, and 4 more phases after this, how much was skill and how much was just luck? Even when I survived phase 3, I basically die immediately into phase 4. After around 2 hours of nothing but Exo Mech attempts, I could get to phase 4 semi-consistently, but no further. Call me perpendicular with how tilted I was. And I wanting to join made me end the stream right then and there. After this stream, I felt defeated in real life. I did this because the Exo Mechs were my favorite fight, but I just couldn't even get halfway. Why? Why was it always either phase 3 or 4? Why was I always getting smoked by attacks that I had never had a problem with? Why was I doing this? I'll be honest. After this stream, I took a step back and looked at things. I had just graduated college in astrophysics a couple months before, something I had dreamed about since I was a kid, being a space scientist and everything. I'd made a YouTube video that rivals the Black Plague in how quickly it spread. Something else I also dreamed about since I was a kid. Like most kids, I'd say. However, this didn't mean I found success as a YouTuber. Every video since that first low percent one had a declining viewer base. Was that because I post every so often? Probably. Like, as I just said, I was going to college for astrophysics, which yes, is kind of hard, even if you're someone who likes it. Or was the problem just me? Did I overstay my welcome here? Was it time to call it quits? A few months after this point, I would be starting a master's program, which I've currently been doing for about a year and a half, which coincidentally is how long it's taken to make this video. So why keep making videos like this when they need me to find so much time and energy for little to no reward, assuming the algorithm is okay with my once every who knows posting schedule? Which, I know, it's a big problem for a small channel like me to post rarely. The way I saw it, it was time for this to end. But when should I roll credits? Well, at the end of this video probably, because damn it, I was going to finish this run. You don't put as many hours into this game as I have, just give up. A third time, that is. I have had too many problems to give in this way. My first low percent was a silly turned successful video attempting a silly challenge. It made me who I am today, even though it didn't work. Kind of. My second one relied on a gimmick to win, which, I mean, it didn't break any rules, as no other bosses need to be killed, and naming your character is mandatory, so no. This time had to be different. If I wanted to make this the finale, it had to be a grand finale. No difficulty lowering, no gimmick weapons, just expert mode low percent Exo Mechs. After a good night's sleep, I spent the next day looking through the Calamity wiki at anything and everything. And it just goes to show that even though I'm an astrophysicist, I can be dumb. Meet the Sponge.
I'm Sponge.
This item absorbs up to 180 damage with a quantum foam barrier. Going by the item description. Scientifically, that makes no sense. Said barrier grants 30 defense and 10% damage reduction. Sounds pretty good, right? But wait, there's more. Once the barrier is taken down, it takes 9 seconds to start recharging, and 6 seconds to fully recharge, gaining 30 durability per second. So basically, it's a free hit every 15 seconds. As long as I was getting hit once every 15 seconds, I could basically endure the entire fight. The hardest part, obviously, being Ares, hence why I always choose to fight him first. Artsy and Fartsy are hard, but avoidable with good vertical movement since they're on the sides. Lastly, Thanatos. He's honestly mostly docile below you, just shoots lasers. Wait, haven't I fought something that does that already? He'll occasionally loop up and hit you, but you can just jump over him. Of course, Ah and Thanto get harder, but not to the degree that Ares does, I would argue. One more good sleep later, it was finally time. July 10th, day 7. Weapon in hand, sponge in my pocket, because I think that's where you put accessories. I was as well prepared as I could hope to be. After a little low percent talk about how it's like running a race with no legs, as in you're missing something the entire time, I hit the button. I had done all I could conceivably do. I was not going to give in. If it took days, weeks, maybe longer to do it. I was going to do this as many times as it took to finally finish this run and reuse this same joke. Does this still reach? Let's fucking go! Fuck you, Draydon. Oh! Bro, I've never focused that hard at Troria ever. That was the first one of the day, dude. So however many last time and this one. And there it was. The Exo Mech's done in 7 bosses. Wall of Flesh, Ravager, Lunatic Cultist, Moonlord, Dog, Yharon, and finally the Exo Mechs themselves. The Exo Mechs, a fight that is built up, quite literally, throughout the entire game, requiring materials from all corners of the world, dead in just 7 bosses. That's 2 more than it takes to do Yharon, assuming that you're not an Infernum. So naturally, I made a tier list of the bosses from this run. What a crazy run that was. The Shimmer being introduced really threw a wrench in the usual routing, and allowed for a lot less boss fights. If you're considering doing this one, but want some fun, maybe try a no Shimmer one. This way you get to do Province before Dog. That's why I'd want to do it. Or just try something you want. What's been awesome about that first video being as big as it was, is it brought about a whole new branch of challenge runs to this community. It's been great watching videos of others doing low percent runs, but they do them their own way. It's not just following what I did. I've also had a lot of people tell me about runs that they're attempting, like a vanilla low percent, or poltergeist low percent. I may not have become a YouTube titan from that one video, but that's okay. If I stopped this channel, I would have at least left my mark on YouTube from that one silly and honestly not great in retrospective video, but whatever. On the subject of my channel, obviously this has taken a good long while to make. Like I said, you can thank my physics master's program for taking a lot of energy and time from me. On the bright side, I have been doing well in it though, so it's not all for nothing. And the plethora of games this past year, like Monster Hunter Wilds, Night Rain, and Clair Obscur all getting my full attention, did not really help. Because of all that, I think it's time for these to end. Not videos, I'm not done with videos, don't think I'm done, I'm not done with everything. But I am done with low percent runs, and most likely these long, in-depth videos as a whole. Whatever I make, it'll probably be shorter than the hour and a half this video probably is going to be. I think that'll allow for more videos, but also let me branch out and do stuff with other games. I'm kind of trying out by now, if you couldn't tell by my hour count. Even if they end up being like the Hell playthrough videos, they'll still be more frequent and certified potato quality. Wait, no, that sounds bad. Regardless, it's time to wrap this up. Special thanks to Toasty for that terrible idea all those 3 years ago. Thank you to chat who made my mental state both better and worse during this and all my other runs. Thank you for all the support my channel has gotten. It truly means a lot, and I'm sure you've heard all the ways that you can help from every YouTuber ever. So please do them, as they're all appreciated. And thank you for watching. I hope to see you in whatever stupid thing I do next. Hopefully not another year and a half from now. Until then, take it easy, everyone. since unlike games like Hollow Knight, Calamity has no actual percentages. Huh, I was wrong. Calamity does have built-in percentages.